The wine glass hit the plaster and exploded like something finally giving up. A clean, sharp confession that sprayed red across the pale wall and my chest. I stood there, fingers sticky with Merlot, the word boring still a bruise in my ear. You're boring. I want excitement. She'd said it a week ago, breath warm against my neck as if she'd been rehearsing cruelty. Small things had slipped first, like beads from a broken thread. Her keys jangling at odd hours. The sock by the sink that wasn't mine. Her phone, face down on the kitchen table, sleeping behind a calm of text bubbles and a new lock code she'd never used. I told myself explanations. Late hours at the office, a new gym class, hormones. Denial is a generous animal. I learned to listen for other noises. A laugh caught in the doorway, a perfume I didn't recognize that rode the elevator into our corridor. I watched her in the morning, how she smoothed the back of her hand over her hair with a gesture that wasn't mine. Each small theft of certainty gnawed at me until I was a man made of missing things. That night I decided to give her a shock. Not to harm her, God, not that, but to pull the curtain back, to make truth incandescent and undeniable. I staged a scene that felt like justice. I left her phone unlocked on the counter, a dozen open tabs, and a casting of my face in the mirror, an accusation waiting to be confirmed. I packed my coat and drove to the bar on the other side of town where I was sure she wouldn't go alone. The bar hummed with neon and a playlist of other people's grief. I sat by the window with a clear view of the entrance, sweat cooling under my collar like a verdict. My hands rehearsed calm, my stomach rehearsed rage. Past midnight she came in, slipping through the door like a silhouette I'd stopped recognizing. Relief burst me open. There she was in jeans that hugged one definition of freedom, and she looked exactly like a woman I wanted and did not. She wasn't alone. Relief collapsed into a choking heat. At the corner table, under the wash of amber light, sat Daniel. My brother's friend, the man who knew my jokes, who'd driven me home after too many funerals. Daniel smiled at her the way traitors smile at treasure. Their knees touched beneath the table as if they'd practiced the betrayal. I moved without planning, toward them, shoes whispering across scuffed floorboards. Eva, I said. My voice was a file scraping slowly over old wounds. What's this? She looked up with an exhausted honesty that made my lungs clench. Michael. Daniel stood, smooth as a clean lie. Hey man, he said, like a stranger offering a handshake to a house already aflame. Is this, the syllables meant to be thunder dissolved? I'd pictured a kiss, a fumbling, a stolen hotel key. I hadn't pictured the paper between them. A neat, folded envelope on the table like an apology. Eva's hand rested on it, fingers steady, not hiding. For a moment I thought it was a love letter. She opened her mouth and for the first time the truth came out without my permission. I'm sorry, she said. I'm leaving. I laughed then, half a sob, half a roar, because cheating was one thing, leaving was another, and the two at once felt like being stripped of a skin I'd worn for years. Is that your idea of excitement? Finding a cleaner way to go? Daniel blinked, bewildered by the gods he'd stepped between. Mike. Don't, Daniel. My voice was too loud in the small room. People turned. I wanted their eyes to hold the verdict I'd rehearsed for myself. Eva gathered herself as if collecting a small, fragile animal. It's not him, she said. Not in the way you think. His, she pointed at the envelope, at the papers. He's my attorney. We talked about how to start again. I've been seeing someone. It wasn't romantic. I've been seeing Dr. Reyes. I've been writing these things down for months. I didn't want to hurt you. I meant to tell you. I remember a clock clicking louder than any voice. The betrayal unfolded not as proof of a body with another body but as a series of practicalities. Bank accounts separated, a lease on a small apartment, plans for mornings without my radio playing. Daniel's presence was only a courtesy, a man who had helped Eva move a box once. The truth wasn't what I wanted. It was worse in its mundane cruelty. She had been planning her departure with the careful economy of someone arranging a funeral. You called me boring, I said, and it landed like confession. So I tried to shock you. The words tasted like metal. She folded in on herself as if the room had shrunk. You didn't give me shock, she said quietly. You gave me my backbone. I walked out into the rain incandescent with a strange clarity. The glass in my hand had been only the beginning. The real fracture was not a kiss but an accumulation of quiet decisions, 1,000 tiny departures. I had wanted to force her into a single moment of guilt. Instead she had walked away from the life I thought we shared, parceling betrayal into practical steps. On the tram home, the city lights stitched themselves into a sequence I could read now. Nothing dramatic, nothing cinematic, just the deliberate, ordinary choices that become revolutions. I had planned a thunderclap. She had chosen an ordinary, irrevocable silence. That, I realized, was the most shocking thing of all.